This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right. This is the Easthampton Affordable and Fair Housing Partnership. It is Thursday, October 24th, and it is 6:10 p.m. We do allow public speak for the first 15 minutes of the meeting. Is there anybody here for public speak? You're not planning to speak about anything, are you? No, you're just observing. Okay. All right, since there's nobody here, we do not have to wait 15 minutes. So let's move on to the September meeting notes, which I sent out yesterday. Everybody have a chance to read them, review them. Any questions or comments about the meeting notes from September?
Not for me.
Do I have a motion to approve the September meeting notes?
Motion to approve.
I have a second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Oh, we should also welcome Yoshi. Say this is her first official meeting as a member. Yay! Do you want to introduce yourself, Yoshi?
Yeah, hi, it's nice to meet everyone. I work at Code for America, but I live here in Easthampton and I have for about 10 years. I am just sort of generally interested in housing and homelessness. I worked in the homelessness services industry for about 20 years, about a little bit less than 20 years. Then I went to UVM to get my PhD in complex systems and data science. And now I work for Code for America doing a bunch of compliance stuff around like massive changes to integrated benefit systems. So that's me in a nutshell.
Sorry, my kid can't find the spare key. All right, thank you, Yoshi. All right, so we're gonna just dive right into our continued review of the zoning changes. Chaim, do you wanna share your screen?
Sure.
I want to give you that power. Hold on. Oh, Jack's here.
Hi. Hi, Chaim. Hi, Yoshi. I could have.
Hi, Jack.
All right, Chaim, you should be at co-host now.
All right. Let's see. All right. So I think the big notable changes from the last time that you guys saw it is the draft forward letter, the executive summary, and then the conclusion and next steps section.
Want me to do something different about this so you can see it better, everybody? I could spotlight it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
But now we can't see.
Now we can't see Chaim.
Although if he starts talking, I think he'll show up.
Is that bigger? Oh, and I can make it bigger. Look.
That's too big. Perfect. Right
I
there.
mean, I can also zoom in if it's not visible, or like make it taller, or I don't know which is better.
Oh, is that making it better? Yeah,
That's great.
Oh,
Yeah,
so okay. So can you scroll to the top of whatever page is that the end or the beginning?
This is at the very end.
Okay.
What draft version is that? Is that the one from the 18th?
The one that I have in front of me is the one from the 18th. And when you texted me earlier about section blah, 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 I was like, how do I know what section that is? But it looks like maybe you added that in the newer version.
Well, that was the section, because just for context for everyone, Connie had shared our draft with Jeff,
Right.
former city planner, and we got a few points of feedback. One of them being that anything messing with section 7 of the zoning would require approval from the state. And he said that that had the potential to confuse and slow down the process. I don't know, like that implicates most of the community character comments. A lot of the fair housing stuff.
Mhm.
Anything in section 7? I don't understand
Yeah,
why that.
let me get the wording of the response that he gave. Hold on.
I mean, I would be in favor of like asking for all the things and letting them decide if they don't want to go through with everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wait. Okay. 7.4.
No.
Section 7.4.
Those sections are the things that we would have to leave out or not include in this recommendation, right? Are things that are important, that we talked about a lot and that are important to us.
Okay, yeah, I understand why 7.4 would need to go through the state.
But the only one that we have in there for 7.4 that we're asking to change is just one item,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well,
There's a couple. There's the changing to replace things that contradict or are superseded by state housing law. Also, what I find funny is that the references to DHCD are all in that section too, I'm pretty sure, or in a section in section 7.
Okay. So it's because those sections exist in the smart growth overlay district, is that why? That's like in the smart growth section?
I think so. He didn't elaborate. He just said that, oh yeah, any amendments to 7.4 should be approached carefully. It's going to slow down the process and as it requires state approval.
okay.
Okay. I thought he was, when I obviously was not really reading his comment very carefully because I thought he was talking about like when we actually talk about the smart growth overlay district and expanding it, but no, he's talking about these specific references. I still think they're important. I mean, I think
I completely agree with you.
Yeah,
It's
no,
not-
I think it's worthwhile, especially like if it's especially the references to DHCD and stuff like that and the community character stuff. Like it's kind of central to the whole vision.
Why is planning not under departments on the Easthampton page?
it is.
Do you see
don't
where it
see-
would be in the
No.
Ps?
Go under department.
That is I am under departments.
It was there before.
Is that not the weirdest thing?
Mhm.
It is the weirdest thing because it's
Boards and committees, maybe it's there, but they have a planning department, not just a planning board.
usually was there.
Okay,
Mhm.
sorry.
Kayam, do you want to go over Jeff's other comments? Or was that the biggest one? I don't remember.
Sure. Yeah, I think that might be worthwhile. So he stressed that we should make sure to emphasize framing things in the housing, like in terms of the housing production plan. He mentioned the 7.4 amendments.
Hey,
He mentioned the parking being fine, the single families to duplex being fine, but mentioning that some communities offer some stricter design guidelines. The multifamily, he said he understands the need to remove the 18 unit limit, but without some other design guidelines, it would really open up a can of worms, which I don't fully understand.
he wants to join. That could be Chelsea.
Something that I just sort of I hemmed and hawed about for like a few hours, but then kind of just accepted the critique that removing the form-based zoning step was because it was just too like academic and a little bit too in the weeds for this. So I don't know. I saved it in case we wanted to put it back or like include it as like an addendum or something like that. But I do understand that it flows a little bit better without that in there. And like because it doesn't lead to any clear recommendations that we list in the end. It sort of is just like a little detour in the middle of the document. So that I removed.
Yoshi, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wondered when you said that the feedback was that there would be a delay if it went to the state. Do you have a sense of the scale of the delay? Is he saying like it could take months longer, weeks longer, years longer?
He didn't say.
No.
I don't know. I don't think we should be dissuaded by a
Yeah.
delay. Are you guys here for a class
Yeah.
for landscape architecture?
A community engagement class.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
I kind of
UMass students.
I kind of agree that I mean, I appreciate Jeff's comments and I do think kind of the form-based part was a little academic, and I think simplifying this as much as we can
Hmm.
and making it digestible as much as we can is good. And I also think we all decided as a group that we wanted to go big. And so like,
Or go home.
you know, it's up to the planning and the city council what they want to do. But I think we did, Kayam did a lot of work on this. And so I kind of feel like it's, we decided we wanted to go bold, and so we did. So I don't really want to remove anything else.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that his comments on the R35 and R40 zones, I think that like he mentioned whenever Tom Peake and him met about doing the last two amendments to the zoning, they made a point to avoid changes to the R35 in the plains because they were afraid of like organized resistance. And I think in this situation, like it is, again, a core part of the vision to address like the more destructive suburban parts of our zoning that is perpetuating that car dependent land use and everything. And so I don't know. I agree that I don't think restructuring things much more makes any sense.
I think what we might want to do is like prioritize. And I think we kind of do this like with the like immediate recommendations. I don't know. I'm just wondering if we might want to order our priorities. Like, here's the things that we really, really want. And then here's the things that we like hope that you consider, so that we make it a little bit easier for city council and planning board to like kind of get a sense of like what are our things that like we're prioritizing, rather, and then things that we like kind of acknowledge, like we know that this is kind of a big deal and you probably aren't going to do it,
It
but
might be a stretch.
we want to talk about it anyway. I don't know if that has any value.
I feel like the priorities are kind of laid out in the summary section.
Yeah,
we're
and
trying
I
to
guess
We're
what
trying
I
to
was a little bit perplexed by was that what I thought the biggest, like most mind-blowing thing was like the condensing the zoning into 3 zones, but he seemed less skeptical about that. He was like, I think consolidating all the districts is more involved and require evaluating the number of properties, potentially staff time, but maybe the planning board would support it. So he didn't like totally poo-poo that as much as he poo-pooed the idea of like introducing mixed use across all residential zones, even though it's still subject to special permit approval.
Well, and also if you start to prioritize it now, then you're already signaling that certain things are less important than other things. So, and you don't know what the planning board will say is their priority or what they agree with or don't agree with. So if you give them everything and say, take a look at this, and then and then have a conversation about what they think is most important, then you've got some, then you can start a negotiation.
That's true.
About what is most important to you as opposed to what is most important to somebody else, and how do those things interact with each other? What parts do you want to pull out that maybe support both positions, or support some general piece that people want to go forward?
Makes sense.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I was making myself clear on that. So I
I
like
would
just,
also say that we have, like, I had a great meeting with Tamara Smith, the precinct counselor for the Plains, on Saturday. And talking to her, she seemed very on board, especially given the way that we're framing things in terms of walkability, reducing car dependency. And that was something that really spoke to her as someone who works a lot, or researches the aging communities, and like is also the representative for the Plains, which, she sees a lot of people, and she talked about this in the housing forum, which I rewatched recently too, about like intergenerational families and aging children, staying at home, and how some of these changes might enable homeowners to modify their properties to allow for that in a more comfortable way. And yeah, all in all, she just seemed very on board and excited to collaborate on this.
That's great.
Great.
And I think, like, as a representative for the R40 for basically like all of the R40 district, that's, I think, a really good thing that we have on our side.
Great.
I have like a couple just like specific comments. I would call the document Easthampton zoning recommendations instead of policy report. Because we're kind of presenting it as these are the things we want you to do.
Yeah.
And then I would, where we say prepared by the Easthampton Affordable and Fair Housing Partnership for council and the mayor, I would also add the planning board.
Okay.
They're also gonna have to
Approve it
approve it.
or not.
And I would also number, so we have goals and priorities, and then we number those. So then I would number where it says housing partnership recommendations, I would number them the same, like 1, updating from DHCD to EUHLC, 2, parking minimums, just so like we have some consistent,
It's a good idea.
formatting kind of.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. And I think I have one more. But we didn't write each of that.
Is it worth reordering those too? Like, I don't want it to make it seem like our highest priority is updating the PhD to.
It's the easy, well, I was gonna say it's the easiest, but maybe it's not the easiest if it's all in section.
Yeah.
One more. Oh, under the potential community concerns. So on the water and sewer infrastructure part, I just wondered if Greg Nuttleman has seen this section. I know he gave you some of the data, Kayam, but what came up in the 385 Main Street hearing, because he kind of said the same thing about the water. Like, we have tons of water. We sell the water to Easthampton. Like, we have more water than we know what to do with. I mean, to Southampton. But when one of the members of the public asked about the sewer capacity, that's when he kind of had to admit that, in fact, the sewer pipes are more of a concern. So I just wonder if we need to
Double check.
that. He clearly like really didn't want to talk about that, but that was less concerned about the amount of water that we have and more of like, do we have the sewer capacity? So I just feel like we might want to like fact check this section one more time. Unless you talk to him about that.
Well, I mean, in terms of him knowing that his comments were going to be used in this, he knows that. But I don't I haven't like run this by him specifically, not as it's been written. But it quotes him pretty directly, so I didn't really think it was necessary, but I agree. Like I'd been, another resident emailed him and was posting it to a Facebook group, and I had seen him write additional comments around the sewer system over there. So maybe I can get some additional info.
Okay. I mean, I think the thing that they talked about in the 385 Main Street hearing was also that additional investment and development actually makes the project and the city eligible for infrastructure grants to help with the sewer capacity.
Right.
So like, even if we don't have it, but we have a project, then it's more likely that we would get a grant to help with the infrastructure. So I don't know if there's a way to kind of work that in, but I might just, yeah, I don't want to feel like it's like misleading that we don't have a sewer pipe issue, because I think we might.
I'm gonna, so, the mayor recently wrote an op-ed to the Gazette supporting Richie Neal. And one of the things she said in there is we got $1 million for water infrastructure. And I wonder if that is sewer.
Oh,
I'll ask her.
okay.
So, yeah.
I might be wrong, but I think that was for the Northampton Street,
Okay,
like I
yeah,
think that was water source pipe. They were upgrading it from a 4-inch to a 12-inch or something.
okay, that makes sense.
I think it's tied to specific development. So like they had the same conversation about 385 Main Street. Like, well, if it goes forward, then we would apply to MassWorks and then we would get a grant to do it over here. But
Yep, that makes sense. I'm just curious.
and then I just wondered if the part where we talk about aligning with city goals and priorities on page 31, I wonder if we should move that to the front somewhere. I don't know. It felt like important and it was at the bottom. I don't know. That's just, maybe it doesn't, maybe it's fine where it is. But I also would include in that first paragraph that I don't know who approved the climate action plan, but the housing production plan was approved by the city council and the planning board. And I assume the climate action plan was also approved by at least the city council. So I feel like it's helpful to put that in there. Like, these are plans that you already approved and these are meeting these goals. So reminder that you wanted these things. And now we're doing them.
Right. That makes sense.
Jackie, where did you? What? You just looking up the funding.
I actually texted the mayor. I'll let you know if I hear back.
But those were all my like editorial comments.
And yeah, Jana, on that last one, I think I can see it both ways. I think the reason why I chose to put this towards the end was that I think it was powerful to, after the reader had already seen our recommendations, to then have that reiterated, like, here's the goal, and then like match it to our recommendations. And then
It's fine. I think it works in both places. Yeah, it's a good reminder at the end.
Chaim, you did an amazing job on this.
I agree. I agree.
thank you.
The teacher in me wants to turn to the students and say, do you want us to give you a little bit of an understanding of what we're doing tonight? Okay. So this is the Easthampton Fair and Affordable Housing Partnership. We've been looking through the 273-page zoning ordinance for the past several months and making recommendations for suggested changes to zoning to make things to help with affordability, to help with fair housing. If you go back and you can watch all of our previous meetings on Easthampton Media, it's a thrill a minute, but you can, that would help you understand like what the changes are we're talking about and why. So I don't know how much you have to do for this class, but that's how that works. Do you have questions? Are we at a place where we can let these guys ask questions?
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
Do you have anything to ask?
I don't have anything to ask right now.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Do you understand?
Do you want-
Because I came on this past year and I still have questions about what is happening. A lot of this was being done before I came into it. And so like trying to understand everything that's being addressed here.
Just trying to
challenge?
get a grasp. I don't know that I have like,
A specific question?
So we don't have any authority. So we are an advisory body. So we can't actually like do any of this. So our job is to come up with recommendations and we have to bring it forward to city council and the planning board, which will then have public hearings. So they would get more community input, send it to committee. I mean, this is like, we've taken it almost a year to do this and it's still like the beginning of the process because then it has to go to actual decision makers who will probably pick it apart, decide what it is that they like what are the things that are important to them. They might not enact all the things that we're recommending. So
Can we ask who is the 402 person on the call?
Hi, that's me, Chelsea.
Oh, hey,
hi, Chelsea.
nice to see your phone icon.
Yeah. Sorry I couldn't make it in person.
Okay.
Yeah, Google Meet is actually easier if you're calling in.
Yeah.
It just, doesn't work as well.
So what's next?
I mean, does anyone else have any other editorial comments while we're here?
I've been really up to here.
Yeah.
Looking from a fire hose lately. So I'm going to try and give it a read between now and the next few days, Kayam. And if I have any specifics, I'll email you directly. And it's probably just like, you know me, I love to edit. So
Jackie likes to edit.
Yeah, Donna had a couple of really good edit suggestions that I incorporated as well. So anything you have.
okay, I'll just send it to you directly.
Do
Okay.
we want to say that like just to keep ourselves moving, like within a week, we should send any,
I will
10
attempt,
days?
I will attempt to do it within a week. I probably have some time to read through it.
it's not that long.
No, it's not. Yeah.
A lot of the pages are just charts or tables.
Yeah. I will make a point to get through it.
Okay.
Something that I thought was cool, and that I added sort of last minute, but I realized that there was probably some gems in there, was about a year ago, Jackie and I hosted that Easthampton City Council Candidate Housing Forum.
Yep.
And zoning was talked about many times. So I got a few good snippets to include in like this front letter, mentioning how
Cool.
this was something that you all talked about a year ago.
Well done.
So I think President Gomez made a really interesting comment in his opening statement, actually, about City Council's role in the housing crisis, mainly being creating zoning ordinance that encourages affordable housing while remaining responsive to community concerns. And I think that's just like exactly what we're doing. Councillor Peak identified some of those restrictive dimensional regulations that have made some of our historic neighborhoods and multifamily housing illegal to build today. And Councillor Riley rightly pointed out the overly complex and often contradictory nature of our current ordinance, going as far as suggesting an overhaul of the entire document to better reflect the needs of the city.
Ta-da! Here we go.
Yeah, so it's like you asked, we delivered.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah, I saw that today when I got the report again and was looking through it, and I thought that's really
Savvy.
Yeah, it's savvy and it's
That's Kyle.
a nice piece. Nice piece to have added in.
And honestly, it feels forever ago that we did that housing forum. Like I was,
Just saying.
It's like a advertisement for you, Matt.
Too bad my kids won't go there.
I had one thing to add, Kayam. I'm just looking through the report. I think in the PowerPoint I put together like many months ago, I had some like street view images of the neighborhoods, comparing like what's existing and like what is being zoned for. I feel like those might be slightly more effective, or like effective in conjunction with the zoning maps you have here. I forget, were they ever in the document, or is it worthwhile to add the street view images?
This is on
I'm not
page-
against doing that.
Yeah,
Which page are you looking at?
well, it's like the absence of something. So I guess I'm looking at page 27. I feel like there's maybe like where they could go around there or something. Like,
Those visuals are really powerful.
What, did you say they were street view maps?
yeah, it was like just,
Saying something.
oh, sorry.
So can you say that again?
Yeah, just saying those visualizations were really powerful. I was here for that meeting, and I think they really tell the story well.
Or maybe the PowerPoint can be like an addendum or something.
Well, I think the idea is to use that PowerPoint,
Okay.
right, when we present it to council or use part of it. That was kind of like, we're gonna have to present.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, but I do think, like, I find the two graphics on page 26, like a little, hard to digest. Like, I'm not really sure what I'm looking at. So maybe adding one of the other ones might be helpful.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. Or maybe my homework could be just like take a little bit of time to think about the graphics and maybe like show what's built now and then like what like, yeah, it would be interesting to overlay a 40,000 square foot lot on some of these existing lots and be like, 40,000 square feet is way bigger than what is built now, something.
I see my street on there.
Well, and what about East Street? East Street has huge lots.
And small ones, because it's all over the
That's
place.
because the East Street is like a
Yeah, it's kind of a hot
cornucopia of
Yeah.
different zoning lots.
Yeah,
Um,
it's not all the same
It's all
throughout.
the same. Yeah. Well, will that change if the zoning is reduced to, it is synthesized into 3 zones instead of?
Yeah, I wish we had the zoning map. Remember, we used to have it in the room
yeah,
downstairs.
I don't know well, Kayam probably does. I don't know what zone East Street is.
I think it's multiple, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's multiple.
I have it up right now. It's R35 for a lot of it, but then R15 on the the west side.
It's quick like that. Yeah.
Do the spotlight. So this street, I'm terrible at reading this map. Okay, East Street is right here.
Yeah.
It goes along, yeah, it's R35.
Yeah.
Like so much of that's unbuildable because it's like on the mountain.
Because it's on the mountain. Well, some of it's on the mountain, but also the setbacks on those houses at that end are really,
Yeah, like
they're
some
far.
of these houses up here. Or wait,
Are on the side of the mountains,
Yeah.
but there's R15 as well. Right? So you have
It's
it
on the other side of East Street, yeah.
What is it when you get towards, Route 5?
Yeah, the other end where the
Right.
Dunkin' Donuts
I
is.
think it's all R35
Well, except for the R15 part.
on the
Highway
other
business.
side of the street, yeah.
Wait, which part is R15? Oh, over there.
Like on the opposite
It's
side
on
of the
opposite
street.
side of the street. That's where all those side streets are.
Yeah.
And what's the difference between R35 and R15? R35 is solely residential.
No, it's really just the lot size. So like you need a 35,000 square foot lot in R35 and
Yeah.
15,000 in R15.
35,000 square feet. How many houses can you put in there?
How many acres is that? Is that an acre?
Oh, 43,000 is an acre. So it's
It's like a three-quarters of an
yeah,
acre.
something like that, yeah.
And I'm sure that was done on that side to preserve. Although, yeah, I'd be surprised if this is Chapin Street right here, and there's a lot of, it's all really dense in there, like you can tell. when you
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
at it. But that's not conforming to
Mhm.
R35.
Right.
Well, I think a lot of them are non-conforming. I mean, my old house on East Street was on a quarter of an acre.
Mhm.
Um,
And that's part of the issue, right?
So I think that's part of the issue is that a lot of them are non-conforming and then the zoning on top that exists now, they don't conform to, like, that's what's happening in the, like,
In the
in the
plains.
plains. That all those houses don't actually conform to, they're all,
The zoning
Because they
came
were
after
built
they were
prior to the
built.
zoning.
yeah.
After changes, yeah.
They changed
Yeah.
the zoning.
Oh, it's fun. Zoning is really exciting.
mean, it is
It
kind of
is.
interesting.
I
I mean, it
is.
does though, when you're
Well,
looking
the
at this.
history was interesting. I mean, Karen put that's the history in the beginning of it about the, the changes in the zoning laws.
Mhm.
Reasons for that.
I was just trying to look at the impact, but I think it's the same as it is now. Like if you combined our 5, 10, and 15, East Street still has the same problem where one side of the street is going to be one zoning and the other side is another, but that's just the way it is now. So that's really not much of a difference.
So how would that change under the new structure, under the new zoning structure?
Yeah, so all of the light or the green, the darker green and light blue becomes R urban or residential urban, and then all the green and yellow becomes suburban.
Okay. And in plain terms, in plain English for
Numerical.
people like me.
Yes,
that
so I mean, essentially what it's doing is it's taking like most of the lots in R15 through R5 conform to the R5 zoning.
Right.
So they're all sort of just being rolled up into the smallest possible zone that also represents the typical lot size.
So
So-
those are, so that's denser.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it allows
So
for
it's-
denser.
It allows for more density if it's R urban, but if it's R suburban, then you need the larger lots and the front, more frontage and all of that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's only marginally increasing density, because I mean, most of the lots are conforming to R5, like most of them are within 5 to 10,000 square feet between R5 and R15. And the R35 and 40, like the suburban zones, similarly, it would be wrapped up into R15, I'm pretty sure is what the suggestion is.
Yeah. This is.
And that's because most of these lots are around 15,000 square feet.
So they're already.
So they already comply with R15 anyway. They're just,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so any new construction would have had to do the bigger stuff, but.
right. So that's what's happening on Pomeroy Street is all
Mhm.
the new houses are on 1 acre lots.
Right.
Yeah, you can see right here, just comparing like these
Yeah.
lots to this lot.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a lot. So-
And anything, what is, Kingsbury on R40?
Think so, yeah. Yeah, that's here, right? Or
Yes.
Yeah,
Sure,
so
yeah.
those were built,
Yeah.
more recently. So those were all, though I don't know that those are acres. I think those are half acre lots. Actually, those lots are not as big as you think they are.
It's hard to tell because the houses are so
The
big.
houses are big.
well, I wonder like what that permitting looked like under the planned residential development, because I think that they're allowed to make things slightly denser than the zoning allows under certain circumstances.
Right.
But yeah.
Less denser, did you say?
No, more
More
dense.
More
dense. Denser.
I noticed there was a duplex that went up on, it's gonna be a bad story, 'cause I can't remember the name of the street. You know, when you go past Valley Medical, like you're going to Florence Road?
Mhm.
And that, you go around that corner and you go up, there's a duplex that they built up there,
Okay.
which is, if we had someone who works in the planning department, I would just be curious, like, why did they build a duplex? Who
Right.
built the duplex?
Yeah.
What was the permitting like? Because that's exactly what we would want.
Mhm.
So instead of building a big single family home, they built a duplex.
Right.
Which is
Like
kind of
we-
interesting,
Yeah.
but we don't have any planning staff, so
Where is that? On Florence Road?
it's on,
It's like behind the co-op kind of.
yeah, so you go
Behind the
past the
co-op, right.
co-op and then
Yeah, yeah.
there's that stop sign and you take a right, like you're going to Florence Road. And that street that I can't remember the name of it, there's a duplex that they just built. But you don't see it very often. There's a couple duplexes on Ferry Street
Mhm.
too, right next to each other.
Yeah,
But you don't often see duplexes being built.
right. But we would like them to be.
The duplexes on Ferry Street are older too.
They are a little older. Yeah, they've been there a little while. So, I mean, how do we want to proceed? One way is for us to take a vote to authorize Kayam to just like finish and make, take everybody else's any additional editorial comments that he receives the next 7 to 10 days and then just finalize it rather than sending it back to us again.
I motion for that.
I'll second that.
Any discussion about that?
I think we gotta move it.
I think we gotta ask Chaim if that's okay with him
Oh, yeah, definitely.
to have that responsibility.
And yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about how to lay this out design wise. I'm thinking of making it look pretty like the rest of our reports.
It already does.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean like a beautiful cover page and like colors and fun, maybe some like graphics to show the percentages.
The infographics?
You could take some stuff from the housing production plan too.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't lose your mind doing it. Give us a deadline for when you want any more feedback from us, and then give yourself a deadline.
Well, let me ask this. When is the goal that we want to get this in front of city council?
Our next meeting
At the end of the year.
is not on the 28th because that's
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
We always have this problem. in
And my
November.
birthday. Just saying. My birthday.
We always have this problem in November and December.
Yeah.
Well, what if we could say December? We could say that we want to present it to city council at their
December 4th.
December 4th, or, I mean, Connie has to introduce it. But we could shoot for December 4th as the date that we want to get on the agenda.
Sure. That seems doable, Kyle?
Oh yeah, definitely. So are you saying that we're canceling our November meeting?
Oh, let's just circle back to, there was a motion and a second on the floor to
Okay.
allow Chaim to finish up. So are we ready? Can we vote on that?
Yes.
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 All those in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah. Hi.
Excellent. Okay. I think what I would suggest that we do in November is like a little bit more strategy.
Yeah.
I mean, because we're not gonna be able to do anything on December 4th because they're gonna introduce it. Connie might ask one of Chaim to talk about it, but then they're just gonna send it to committee. So maybe the November meeting, if this is done, is really about our strategy. Like, what are we going to talk? What are we going to present? How are we going to talk about this at the various committees? Like, what kind of materials do we need? PowerPoints, etc. Like, what our strategy is for that. Does that make a good sense?
Excellent.
And if we have priorities.
Yeah, and if we're things, yeah, we really particularly want to highlight. All right. All right, so we've authorized Chaim to finish up with the edits. I would say, so today's the 24th. If we gave ourselves till Sunday, November 3rd to give edits to Chaim, that's over a week. Does that seem doable?
Yeah.
It's doable for me.
November 3rd. All right.
And the version that I sent today will be I will not make any more edits until after I get your comments.
Okay.
I'm just looking at all my calendars.
And is there a way to redline? So if it's like a punctuation thing that we can just, do it and you can see it, and because I got the document as a PDF and I couldn't edit it as a PDF.
Yeah.
Put comments on a PDF though.
Or if you have like Adobe Acrobat, but I know that not everyone does. I'll download it as a Word doc and send it.
Okay. That'd be great. Thanks.
You have access to Word though, right?
You have
Sorry.
access to Word.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
And then also, Kaya, maybe you and I talk to Connie in the meantime of like how we want I feel like there's like all these still questions about the process, but
Mhm.
I think we need to nail down what we think the process is, which I think is Connie brings it to council.
Yeah, but I think in the meantime, we should also give Jesse Belcher-Timmy is the chair of the planning board.
Oh,
Maybe we
yeah.
give him a heads up as well.
How do we want to do that?
He's playing trivia with my husband tonight. I'm gonna tell him.
Um,
I mean, I can just talk to him if that's okay.
yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay.
Um,
Do we
Alright.
feel like we want to share the draft with him once it's, well, we can talk about that next meeting. We don't have to do that yet.
I feel like once we're done with it and
Yeah.
we're getting ready, like
It's being submitted.
it's being submitted, I don't know what we do. Maybe that's a Connie question, like, I don't
Well, let
know.
me ask you this, now that we've,
I mean, it's kind of public anyway
that's what I was
because
gonna say, is it a public, is it already public
Public-ish.
access?
I think sharing it with Jesse ahead of, before the council meeting is a good idea. Like, hey, we're presenting this to council. Here's
Right,
your-
right.
Here, you
So
can-
after the November meeting.
Yeah.
When we know we have a final draft.
But you could always talk to him in between.
Okay.
Yeah, I was also asking Connie like what she thought it would be more important, like, because I know for a lot of new business before council, people show up and speak at public speak because it isn't technically on the agenda for that night as like a public hearing. So I don't know like how insistent we want to be and how many times we need to get a showing.
I think that's a question for Connie, because I think one of the other times she said that when she introduces it, she'll ask you to talk about it.
Okay.
Like briefly, right? Because it's gonna go to committee, but I think she might ask the partnership to do like a brief introduction. So I don't know that we have to talk at public speak, but I think we should ask her that.
So once we submit it to, when does it actually become a public document?
Once it goes to council.
Once it gets submitted to the council, then it's a public document for anyone to look at. And right now, anybody who's watching our meetings will know that we've been discussing these different changes, so they would have an update.
You know, a draft exists.
Yeah, I mean, we have never shared anything other than notes and agenda items publicly because we can't decide anything.
Yeah,
So, you know, even when we had we drafted RFPs, like all that stuff, like it wasn't public until it went to
Yeah.
the body that's gonna decide. So I think
Right.
once, because it'll be in the city council packet.
okay.
For November's meeting, so we're not gonna meet on Thanksgiving, obviously. What about Thursday, November 21st?
That works for me.
I won't be here. I'll be in LA with my daughter.
Nice.
Well, you could zoom in. I'm just kidding.
Well, there is a time change and she only has,
Just kidding.
I'm only gonna be there for 3 days and she
No,
has
the answer is
2
no.
of those
I
days
cannot
off.
make that day.
2.5 of those days off, so I think
Other days that week, maybe?
the
I
18th, I leave on the 19th, so.
I could do Monday, the 18th.
could too, actually.
I definitely can't do a Monday. It's my one day I'm in Burlington. And I
Your
drive,
Vermont day.
yeah, and I drive back after 6, so I'll be on the road.
Yeah.
But I also have not been in this process since the beginning, so don't let me hold things up. I can just give feedback by email and be okay with missing. If there's a quorum next time without me, it's okay.
Hi, I'm in Chelsea. What does the 18th look like?
I think I can zoom in. The 18th, I don't think I'll be able to be there in person, so as long as it's okay for me to zoom in, that should be fine.
Let me check in with Lindsay.
Hi, how's the 18th for you? It's okay. You're checking with
Oh,
Lindsay.
sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. It works for me.
Okay.
It kind of depends. Sorry, this is Chelsea again. It will depend on like my patient schedule. I can let you know a week or 2 in advance, but if I do have like a patient that needs to schedule for that time, I might have to do that. Usually I do work on Monday evening, so.
Well, as long as we have I mean, obviously I would love everybody to be there, but as long as we have a quorum, so if we have Me, Ben, Kayam, Donna, and Jackie, that's at least 5
On the 18th.
on the
yes.
18th. So why don't we put it to the 18th? I will make sure there's a room. If there's not, I will let you know. Okay.
Lindsay says yes, she'll put it in her calendar now.
Um,
6 p.m.
6 p.m. I will confirm the room because if this room is not available, then we'll have to be in a different room. Okay. Do we have anything else?
I don't think so. Don't forget to vote if you haven't already. Saturday's the last day to register to vote. I saw that.
Yeah.
So don't forget to vote.
I
Vote
voted.
for people that you think are more interested in building affordable housing instead of building slums and not paying their people.
Thank you for
Oh,
that.
damn it. Did we want to talk about 385 Main Street?
Oh, yeah, what happened?
It's not on the agenda.
But it's new business.
Oh,
And
right.
well,
I was
it's
gonna
not on
add-
the agenda, but we don't have to we're not making a decision about it. Or we're not talking about it, like deliberating. We just update.
That's true. It's an update. Okay. Yes, we could talk. I mean, do you want to talk? Do you want to mention it?
I mean, I might not know as much as you do.
I don't know anything.
But the 385 Main Street, the project happening over by Big Y, it recently got its Chapter 40B comprehensive permit from the ZBA, but it looks like abutters slash organized opposition has filed an appeal. So that process should be ongoing in the next few months.
What grounds?
On grounds of well, I didn't read the whole thing. It was interesting for like a hot second. And then I was like 10 pages in and realized it was 30 more pages. And I
Oh,
was
no.
like, all right, I'm not
3
reading this whole
pages
thing.
of red herring?
Where
It
did you-
was
where did you see
so,
that?
kind of forwarded to me.
You forwarded it to me as well, Kai?
Is it?
Yeah,
public?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because the ZBA got it, right?
Yes, yeah. It's technically public, like you can get it from a public records request. So I don't think it's, yeah.
It's filed in land court. It seemed like the premise was mostly around the stormwater, which at length, they talked about the stormwater plan at the last hearing. And
Yeah.
it was pretty clear from the zoning board's consultant attorney, the applicant's attorney, that the Conservation Commission has jurisdiction over the stormwater plan and has to approve the stormwater plan. And if the stormwater plan that the applicant submitted was not sufficient, that the applicant would have to redo the stormwater plan to meet the restrictions of the Conservation Commission.
Correct.
The abutters at the hearing were not satisfied with that answer and didn't want the ZBA to vote until the stormwater plan was completed.
Mhm.
However, Chapter 40B hearings have a very specific time frame for which the ZBA has to render a decision. And I don't think they could keep waiting. I mean, I think
Right.
they had already missed a hearing for having no quorum and missed another hearing for some other reason. And I think they had to I don't think they really had another 60 days to, and like it clearly said in the decision that this was contingent upon the Conservation Commission approving the stormwater plan. But that seemed to be the premise of the appeal. I don't know, Chaim, if you read more of it than I did, but that seemed like that's what it was about.
Yeah, I mean, it really focuses on the stormwater thing and I think just in general process. Yeah.
So I mean, the problem is this could like really hold them up.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I'm sort of at a loss because it's just sort of, I really don't, I have a hard time understanding where those people are coming from, like being this singular or few people just holding up all the, like what, 100 units of housing. During a housing crisis, it's just kind of wild to me. But I don't know. That's just sort of my thoughts on it. It's just a little bit absurd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Varying the conservation aspects.
So will the zoning, I guess, I don't know, and I don't know, Kaim, if you know, will the zoning board take this up? Or it just now just is between the abutter, that group and the applicant at Land Court? Or were they taking they were taking the zoning board was named in it also, I think. I don't know. It's just gonna delay, it's just gonna drag, it's now just gonna like,
And this is why affordable housing is so expensive to build.
it's gonna drag out.
Because
Because
they
now
have
there's
to pay all the
litigation,
people.
now there's litigation and there's.
Surprised that the Gazette write an
lawyers.
article about this whole process. It seems like ripe for some
From
good-
some
good
Gazette
journalism.
drama. I haven't seen
Gazette drama.
anything.
Yeah, okay.
Bye Yoshi. So I guess stay tuned. Like as we learn more, we'll share more, but there likely won't be,
I just got a text back from the mayor about the sewer on 385 Main Street. And she says, the sewer is fine and the Conservation Commission has a condition to solve for it. The project has no impact on sewer.
Oh, wow.
Has no impact on sewer.
Like no negative impact.
so anyway, we'll just keep it, I don't know, if we hear more, can talk about it, but there won't be any like public hearings. It's just gonna have to drag through the court system, right? Maybe they'll run out of money. I don't know.
I mean, Jackie, just to go off of what you just said, I think you reminded me a little bit of what Greg had said in that response to someone else, that instead of connecting the sewer to Main Street, I think they were planning on connecting it to the Wamelco Way outlet or something. So it's not going to be as detrimental. I don't fully understand why, but
Because they thought that was the better thing to do.
Or to avoid this kind of challenge.
Cool.
Where people were concerned about it, so they addressed that concern by doing it differently.
All right.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes. So moved.
So moved, yes.
All right,
Second.
all those in favor?
Yep.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's 7:07.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.